Hello, my name is Jason, and today I'm going to be reviewing The Last Unicorn by Peter S. Beagle. This book was first brought to my attention a long time ago. In fact, I watched the cartoon of The Last Unicorn, and that's how I found out that it was a book. And I watched the cartoon, it was way back when I was in elementary school. Summer movie thing that the moms in the neighborhood used to send all the kids to for an afternoon in the summer. Anyway, I really enjoyed the movie, and the book is even better. So this is one of those ones where they did, in my opinion, they did a pretty good job in adapting the book to the movie. So I actually have multiple copies. I have The Last Unicorn, the movie. I have The Last Unicorn book, and I have The Last Unicorn, the graphic novel, which I met Peter S. Beagle at a comic book convention, and he was there signing books. Unfortunately, by the time I got there, I didn't check the list well enough beforehand. If I had known, I would have brought my copy of the book and had him sign it. But by the time I got up there, they didn't actually have any more of the copies of the book to buy. The only copies they had left were the graphic novel. Now, he wrote basically the story, but he didn't do the artwork. But I still did have him sign the graphic novel. Unfortunately, I should have had him put also my daughter, who was with me at the time. I should have had him put her name on it too, but I should have done a lot of things that day. Anyway, The Last Unicorn starts out with some hunters realizing that they're in a wood that's protected by a unicorn, and they leave. But the unicorn does see them and kind of follows them without their being aware that she's there. And they basically let on that unicorns, nobody's seen unicorns for a long time. And she gets kind of confused and starts wondering if she's actually the last unicorn. So she leaves her forest to try to go find these other unicorns and trying to figure out if something has happened to the unicorns and if she is actually the last. In her quest to find other unicorns, she comes across a magician named Schmendrick, who he has a curse put upon him. It's one of those curses that is actually beneficial to Schmendrick. He actually is somewhat inept at magic, but he has the ability and the power, and his former teacher basically granted him or cursed him that he would not age until he was able to actually use his powers. They also meet Molly Grew, and King Haggard and Prince Lear come into it as well. So anyway, The Last Unicorn is it's a quest. A magical creature goes on a quest to find more of her kind, and as I said, she runs into people who help and hinder her along the way. There's a gypsy caravan who goes around with magical creatures, and they end up capturing her for a while, and that's where she meets Schmendrick the magician. And Schmendrick, far from being there to profit from what she is, knows that she's actually a unicorn, and tries to help her, and ends up becoming part of her group as she's trying to find the unicorns. She also finds out about King Haggard and about the Red Bull. Now, the Red Bull is very much the one of the the antagonists of the piece, and he's very, very. If you've never read the book or seen the movie, the Red Bull. I mean, this is. I don't know if this is where the name for the Red Bull energy drink came from, but basically the Red Bull is a bull made out of fire, and quite powerful, magical creature himself, and he ends up being the main obstacle that the unicorn has to overcome in finding the rest of her kind and in finding out what happened to her and her people. So there's some comic relief in there with Schmendrick not being a good magician. There's obviously danger and peril and the character development that goes along with it. There's actually several character development arcs. The unicorn herself starts out being a unicorn, and she grows as a character along the way. There's also Prince Lear, who she encounters, and his development along the way in trying to become better himself. And then Schmendrick trying to figure out how to help the unicorn and how to access his magic. And there's a little bit of selfishness along the way, because Schmendrick does know that he's a magician. He has magic, and he cannot reach it. He cannot use it because of whatever blockage that there is. There's a cat that is quite interesting. He lives in the castle of King Haggard, and he is a cat. He does talk, so some of the characters, some of the animals in the book are able to talk, and I have in my mind, if cats could talk, they would be like this cat. That's how they would. I shouldn't necessarily. They kind of give him kind of a pirate look, and even a pirate. He talks like a pirate in the cartoon. I don't necessarily mean that cats would talk like pirates, although maybe they would. I mean, they're cats. But when he talks about being interested in just himself. He's a cat, and he is not interested in you or anything unless you can benefit him. Quite an interesting, excuse me, quite an interesting person as a cat. Anyway, Last Unicorn is a very good book. It's kind of interesting. One of the things that I've read about Peter S. Beagle is that he doesn't like to go back and write stories in like sequels. So there's not a Last Unicorn 2, Revenge of the Red Bull or something like that. He's one of those authors who writes a story and prefers to move on. Although he has, as I recall, gone back at least once to write a sequel to a book that he's previously written. But the cast of characters is interesting. The story is very much it goes on along with the monomyth. If you've never looked into the monomyth, I suggest you do so. It is one of the hallmarks of good story writing. Even though a lot of people don't like to use archetypes and things like that, they are archetypes for a reason. And even though you can still use the archetypes and still make a good story, and this is one of them that the archetypes are used, but it's still a good story, and it's still unique, and it's still a fresh look at various tropes. Even though, I mean, this book is not a new book. And so it's too bad that there aren't more books like The Last Unicorn. Anyway, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below in the question comment section. I will try to get to them. If I get questions and comments, I do try to respond. If you have any books that you would like my opinions on, hey, give me a shout out. And like and subscribe, put on the notifications, etc., etc. And until then, enjoy what you're reading.